Hello friends, uh, my name is Prakash, and on behalf of Utkarsh Business School I am going to teach MBA student, MBA second semester, and the subject is legal aspect for business. So let's start with the topic. First unit we are covering here is law of contract. Here we are going to study definition, essentials and types of contract. So let's start with a contract simple definition. A contract is an agreement made between two or more parties which the law will enforce. Section 2 under subsection H defines contract is an agreement enforceable by law. So the contract, we can see a equation here. Contract is equal to agreement plus enforceability at law. So you can say a contract is nothing but an agreement which is made between two or more parties which the law will enforce. So here two or more parties are necessary for the contract to be made, and before contract agreement is necessary. So we can say an agreement enforceable by law is nothing but a contract, and it will be defined in section 2 under subsection H. Next we can go ahead with an agreement. So what is agreement? Agreement is defined as every promise and every set of promises forming consideration for each other. The equation you can see below here. Promise is equal to a proposal when accepted becomes a promise. A proposal when accepted becomes a promise. We can take an example here. Suppose party A promises of he propose second party regarding some terms or regarding some deal. Suppose Mr. A, he is having bike, and Mr. B, he wants to purchase a bike, and Mr. A, who wants to sell the bike, he propose or he make a proposal to Mr. B, who wants to purchase a bike. So here Mr. B, who wants to purchase a bike, he accepted the proposal of Mr. A, who is nothing but a seller who wants to sell the bike. So here if proposal accepted by second party, or you can say B party, we can say a promise is made here. So one party made a proposal of bike, that he want to sell his bike, and another party B, what he did is he accepted the proposal of Mr. A, and it will become a promise between both the parties. So it's just a promise. Next equation we can see here, agreement is equal to offer plus acceptance. So agreement is nothing but offer plus acceptance. Means if a party A or client A offer something to client B, so it will become an offer. If you are offering something, you can say anything, if you are offering to another party, then in the same situation another party also accept it. It doesn't mean that only you have offered it and other party he is not able to accept your offer. If another party is not accepting your offer, it means it is not at all an agreement. In any of the agreement, offer plus acceptance, both the content are necessary here. If one party is offering something, then another party has to accept that. then only agreement will be made. So overall we can say here, once again we can see the definition. Agreement is defined as every promise, every set of promises forming consideration for each other. It means every promise, a promise which is made by one party to another party, or you can say a set of promises made by one party to another party forming a consideration for each other. It means there would be a consideration. Consideration means in return both the parties are getting something. For example, I had given one example here, bike selling. So here one party is selling his bike and another party is purchasing the bike. Okay, so here one party is getting cash. If he sells the bike, he'll be getting a cash, and another party, what he is getting a bike. So here both the parties are getting something. So this something is nothing but a consideration. You understood? Okay, every promise and every set of promises forming a consideration for each other is nothing but an agreement. So move on to next page. We can see here one diagram. Proposal and offer. Acceptance. When proposal or offer will be accepted, it will become an agreement. An agreement, when it is legal enforceability, when there will be a legal enforceability on agreement, then it will become a contract. Mere agreement or mere proposal is not at all a contract. So all these four contents are necessary: proposal and offer plus acceptance, there should be an agreement, plus legal enforceability. All these four contents are necessary for any of the contract to be made. So we can see another heading here, consensus ad idem. The parties to agreement must have agreed about the subject matter of the agreement in the same sense and at the same time. Unless there is consensus ad idem, there can be no contract. So here what we can understood here is that the parties to agreement must have agreed upon the subject matter of an agreement. Both the parties involved in this agreement, whoever involved under this agreement, whatsoever it will be, there can be any of the agreement. It may be on bike selling, it may be on property purchase, it may be on marriage, whatever it is, whatever the agreement between the two parties, there would be a mutual understanding between both the parties. And another thing is, must have agreed about the subject matter of agreement in the same sense and at the same time. It means both the parties mutually understood the terms and conditions in the same sense and at the same time. It is very much necessary for both the parties. Unless there is a consensus ad idem, there can be no contract. So if one party tells something to another party, and another party, if it is not understanding in the same sense, it means there would be no contract at all. There would be no contract. And let's move on to another topic here, enforceable by law. An agreement to become a contract must give rise to a legal obligation or duty. An agreement may be social agreement or legal agreement, but only those agreements which are enforceable in court of law are contracts. all contracts are agreements, but all agreements are not necessarily contract. Essential element of a valid contract. This is another heading. Let's just understand this topic first. Enforceable by law. So an agreement to become a contract must give rise to legal obligation or duty. Whenever any agreement, it will become a contract, must give rise to legal obligation or duty. Whenever any agreement becomes a contract, it means contract is it. If any of the contract means there will be a legal obligation or legal responsibility, you can say, from both the side. From both the side, it means from party A or party B, whoever is involved in the contract, there will be a legal obligation or duty from both the side. An agreement may be social agreement or legal agreement. It means there would be a agreement. So agreement will be divided into two parts: social agreement and legal agreement. Where legal agreement is involved, where you can say a contract can be possible, and where social agreement involves, it means is just a casual agreement. Social agreement is just a casual agreement, and but only those agreements which are enforceable in court of law are contracts. So here this line is very important. Those agreements which are enforceable in court of law are contracts. So all contracts are agreement, but all agreement are not necessary contract. So let's just move on to another topic: essential element of a valid contract. So here we can see this diagram: elements of contract. First point, offers and acceptance, legal relationship. Third, lawful consideration. Fourth, capacity of parties. Fifth, free consent. Sixth, lawful objects. Seventh, writing and registration. Eighth, certainty. Ninth, possibility of performance. 10th, not expressly declared void. The first point we can see here: offers and acceptance. So this is first most point, or you can say an element of a contract. So it is one of the essential valid contract. There should be a offer and acceptance. Both the element are necessary. If one party offers something to another party, the same offering or the same thing should be accepted. We can say terms and conditions. Same terms and conditions should be accepted by another party. If it is accepted by another party, then only contract is possible. The second is legal relationship. So the parties to agreement must create legal relationship. Agreement of social or domestic nature do not create a legal relations, and as such cannot give rise to contract. Here we can see an example: X invited Y to a dinner. Y accepted the invitation. It is social agreement. If X fails to serve dinner to Y, Y cannot go to the court of law for enforcing the agreement. So it's a social agreement. They have given an example of a social agreement here. So X and Y, we can say a particular name also: Ram and Shyam. Let's take name of Ram and Shyam. Mr. Ram invited Mr. Shyam to a dinner. Okay, and Mr. Shyam accepted the invitation. It is social agreement. This is just a social or casual agreement. If Mr. Ram fails to serve dinner to Y. If Mr. Ram fails to serve dinner to Mr. Shyam, it means Mr. Shyam cannot go to the court of law for enforcing the agreement. It doesn't mean that Mr. Shyam will go to the court of law and he'll sue for whatever he did. So it is just a casual agreement, it's a social agreement. So there is no loss here. To Mr. Ram also, to Mr. Shyam, there will be no loss. Especially we can say there will be no financial loss here. Although there would be a time loss, or you can say the arrangement which Mr. Shyam has made for Ram, all those things will be, there would be a financial loss here, but it is not in the eyes of law. It is not in the eyes of law. So it means it's just a social agreement. So unless and until agreement, there will be a legal relationship between both the parties. When there will be a legal relationship between the party, then only the agreement is liable to become a contract. And the third point is lawful consideration. Consideration is something in return. Consideration has been defined as the price paid to one party for promise of other. For example, X agrees to sell his motorbike to Y for rupees 1 lakh. Here Y's promise to pay 1 lakh is consideration of X promise to sell the motorbike, and X promise to sell the motorbike is consideration of Y's promise to pay 1 lakh. So lawful consideration would be there. Lawful consideration means, first of all, the consideration, as I told you earlier also, consideration is nothing but something in return. Here consideration has been defined as the price paid by one party for the promise of other. The example also says, if one party sells his bike or motorbike, you can say, if one party is selling motorbike to another party for rupee 1 lakh, so for 1 lakh will be the consideration for the seller, and bike will be the consideration for a purchaser. So both the parties are getting something in return under this dealing. So this something in return is nothing but a lawful consideration. The fourth point is capacity of parties. It means that the parties to an agreement must be competent to contract. A contract by person of unsound mind is void ab initio. Thus a contract entered into by a minor or by a lunatic is void. So what do you mean by the capacity of parties? It means whether the person or the party to a contract or an agreement is competent or not. Competent means competent means whether he is able to understand the terms and conditions or not. Whatever the terms and conditions are mentioned in the contract, he is able to understand those terms and conditions or not, and whether the particular person is of sound mind or not. If it is of unsound mind, it means it is not competent to enter into a contract. A person should have a sound mind also. And another thing is also an age factor. So Indian Contract Act also defines a particular age for a party or a particular person to enter into a contract. So above 18 years a person can enter into a contract. Below 18 years a person is not at all a person. We can say that person is belong to a minor category, so he is not able to enter into a contract. So here the example goes like X, a minor, borrowed rupees 8,000 from Y and executed mortgage of his property in favor of a lender. This was not a valid contract because X is not a competent to contract. So it is not at all a valid contract because X is not competent to a contract because he is a minor person. Although a minor person borrowed rupees 8,000 from Y and executed mortgage of his property in favor of the lender, but here Mr. Y can't sue the minor. He can't claim his money from a particular minor because it's not at all a valid contract. So this was not a valid contract because X is not a competent to contract. So let's move on to another page. Fifth point, there is a free consent. Free consent. For a valid contract, it is necessary that a consent of parties to contract must be free. So consent of the party to contract must be free. Consent of the parties, it means there will be no force or there will be no threaten. Okay, whenever any party comes into an agreement, whenever any of the party agreed on certain terms and conditions, it should be free and there would be no threaten, there would be no force. They are doing or they are deliberately they are involving themselves in a particular terms and conditions. There will be no force from any other third party. It means they are free from their consent. So we can say an example here: X threatens to kill Y if he does not sell his car to X. So Mr. X, he threatens to kill Y if he does not sell his car to X, and Y agrees to sell his car to X. In this case, Y's consent has not been obtained by coercion, or therefore it cannot be regarded as free. Okay, understood? X threatened to kill Y. He said there would be some motive behind the X thinking. Whatever X is thinking, there would be a motive. So he threatens to kill Y. Why he threatens to kill Y? If he does not sell his car to X. So forcibly he is trying to purchase the car of Mr. Y. How he is forcing him? He is threatening him. He is telling, if you are not selling your car to me, I will kill you. Straight away he is threatening Mr. Y. So why what he does is, Y agrees to sell his car to X. Because of the X is threatening to Y, what Y is doing here is, Y is ready to sell his car to Mr. X. Okay, so in this case Y's consent has been obtained by coercion, and therefore it cannot be regarded as free. So here his consent has not been obtained by coercion. It means his consent is not at all free. So it is not regarded as free. So forcibly he is coming into this contract. Okay, so here contract is not at all possible. For any of the contract, free consent from both the parties or from both the sides is very much necessary. Sixth point is lawful objects. It is also necessary that agreement should be made for lawful object. every agreement of which the object or consideration is unlawful is illegal and therefore void. Okay, it is also necessary that agreement should be made for lawful object. Every agreement for which object or consideration is unlawful is illegal and therefore void. It is very much clear from the statements itself. The seventh point is writing and registration. According to Contract Act, a contract may be oral or in writing, although in practice it is always in interest of a parties that the contract should be made in writing, so that it may be convenient to prove in the court. So it should be in writing and registration. Whenever you are making any contract, whenever any of the party is making a contract, then it should be writing. It should be in writing and it should be registered. Why it should be in written? Because the same document, the same written document, or we can say registered document, can be presentable in the court of law for proof. If any fault or any mistake happens from any of the party, then it means, so the party who is suffering loss due to another party, what he can do is he can present the written agreement or the written document in the court of law, and he can sue for whatever the loss he is bearing. The eighth point is certainty. For a valid contract, the terms and conditions of an agreement must be clear and certain. For any of the valid contract, the terms and conditions of agreement must be clear and certain. So it is very much clear that for any of the valid contract there should be a certainty. It doesn't mean that there is uncertainty and you people or any of the people is making a valid contract. Valid contract is not at all possible where uncertainty happens. There should be clear and certain agreement. It means, certain means that it will happen. If something will be some input, one party is giving some input, it means there must be a output for that. So it is certain. So the terms and conditions of agreement must be clear and certain. It should be clear. Ninth point is possibility of performance. If the act is legally or physically impossible to perform, the agreement cannot be enforceable at law. So possibility of performance means whatever the performance one party promises, that performance should be fulfilled. Performance here means performance from both the side. It doesn't mean that if Mr. A promises to perform, or if Mr. A performing something, it doesn't mean that Mr. B has not, Mr. B should not be performed. It means from both the side performance should be made. From both the side, terms and conditions, or you can say responsibility or liability, you can say both the side liability should be made. If one party is having liability, it should be delivered. If another party is having some liability, it should be delivered. So if both the party are fulfilling their liability or fulfilling their responsibilities, it means they are performing the contract. So the possibility of performance means there should be a possibility. For example, we can take an example here. if Mr. A promises that I will show you America, I will show you America in a second, or he can in a second, or you can say another example. If Mr. A is telling that I will do the snowfall immediately in front of you, it means it's nothing, it's impossible. Doing snowfall by a particular man is not at all possible. It depends on weather condition. If a particular person is promises that I will do a snowfall here, it means he's just putting his words in front of him. It's like a magician and all, they are performing. Why they are performing it? So we can't go on the words of magician here. If particular magician is telling that I will do a snowfall here, it means this performance is not at all possible only. Then how the particular person can come into a contract? It is not at all possible for a particular person to come into contract. Okay, if one person is telling I will do a snowfall here, in if I'll do a snowfall here, then you will give me 1,000 rupees. So another person who is standing just next to him, he will not at all accept on this terms and condition, because what he thinks is it's not at all possible. If we do snowfall here, I will give him 1,000 rupees. So the performance should be possible. If the same person is telling something else, then it can be possible. Suppose if some person is telling I will give you mobile if you give, I will give you my smartphone if you give me 1,000 rupees. So giving smartphone is possible here. He can give his smartphone. It is possible, but doing snowfall, it's not at all possible. Sudden snowfall is not possible. It depends on weather condition. So this performance is not at all possible. So next person who is standing in front of him, he just move away. He will not at all enter into this rubbish contract, you can say. So possibility of performance should be there. Next is not expressly declare void. An agreement must not be one of those which have been expressly declared to be void by an act. An agreement must not be one of those which have been expressly declared to be void by the act. So expressly declared void means it should not be expressly declared void. Expressly means by the act or the performance. If some party is expressly or by his performance deliberately he is declaring void or something like that, so it is not at all possible. So this point is also necessary for contract. So today we are ending up with this topic, and from tomorrow we are coming up with next topic also, that is kinds of contract. Will come up with this point tomorrow. So just stay tuned with me tomorrow also, and I hope you understood my teachings, and thanks a lot for today. Thank you very much.